Yo guys, Jonathan here, and welcome to my review of the iPhone XS Max. So this review will primarily be focused on the XS Max, but reviews for exactly a week as of recording this video. Everything for the most part will apply to the XS, but if you want to see a more in-depth comparison and side-by-side look at those two, I covered that pretty thoroughly in my unboxing video, which you can check out up here or down below, where there's also a chance to win your very own iPhone XS or XS Max, your choice, wrapped in this beautiful. Now I'm gonna pause for a second so you can appreciate this in all its glory, D-brand skin. Now to preface this video, for the most part, I try to find the positive and fun in tech because we seem to live in this super toxic world where everyone just wants to hate on everything. With that said though, I also want to present this as balanced as possible, so along with the good, I also want to point out the bad, starting with the fact that it's 2018, Timbo, the fact that there is not a fast charging option in the box. Let's talk about it. Apple does a lot of really good things, but oftentimes I think it gets negated or overlooked because people have this mindset that Apple's trying to nickel and dime them or rip them off, and it's hard to argue with that. You are a $1 trillion company, so go the extra mile, include a fast charging solution in the box, and it's gonna make people feel nice, warm, and fuzzy inside, especially when they're paying upwards of $1,500 for a smartphone. Now for you guys watching, there are two major points I wanna get across. One, this is an S upgrade, so yeah, it's going to look very similar to last year's iPhone. And two, I read a comment online saying that Apple did not make the iPhone XS for those that own an iPhone X, and I think that hit the nail on the head. So last week, if you walked into the Apple store and wanted to pick up an iPhone X, it would cost this much. Fast forward to this Friday, if you wanted to grab an iPhone XS, it would cost exactly the same. So if you didn't own an iPhone X, or you're coming from a 7 or 7 Plus or anything prior to that, and you could pay the exact same price and get a better phone, now that doesn't negate the stupid stuff like the lack of fast charging in the box, the fact that you can't control camera settings within the app, the fact that you can't see your battery percentage at a quick glance without going to Control Center. But with that said, the iPhone XS and XS Max does make a really solid upgrade for most people, not iPhone X owners. So now that we got that dance out the way, let's talk about the phone. So the phone, yeah, again, it's an S upgrade, so it's going to look very similar to the iPhone X. This year, of course, we do have that fancy new gold color, which in my opinion, out of the three, sorry Marquez, I think looks the best. And for that one guy out there, I'm gonna wait for you. I know you're drooling, chomping at the bit, waiting to say, but that speaker grill, it's not symmetrical. Yeah, that is technically different, and also amongst the dumb things, I'm not sure why Apple did that. They're usually all about symmetry, and that just doesn't look that good. Actually, breaking news, Gloria Borger, Pew News. The iPhone XS camera is slightly different, so those iPhone X cases won't work. Damn it, Tim. Back to the phone, you got a stainless steel frame that complements the glass very well. Speaking of that glass, wireless charging. It's faster this year. Again, not a reason to go upgrade and sell your iPhone X, but it's welcome. Also, speaking of glass, I'm not sure if I'm crazy this year, but it seems less slippery. English is fun. Regardless though, even though I'm using the larger XS Max, I found myself not accidentally almost dropping the thing like every 6 seconds. Now as my guy Dave 2D would say, the iPhone XS Max is a thick boy. And thick boys have thick screens. This is a 6.5-inch Super Retina HD OLED display, and fancy Apple talk aside, you got a resolution of 2688 by 1242, so that way when your Android friends say, bro, what you know about that 1440p display? I got that 1242p action. Pixels aside though, it is a really nice display, and honestly, I was a little apprehensive going up to the XS Max. I've always thought that the 5.8-inch iPhone X, or in this case XS form factor, was the perfect size, but I gotta admit, the extra screen real estate is nice. Unfortunately though, that notch is still there, and what's interesting is last year Apple seemed to embrace it with their marketing, and this year they've kind of pulled it backwards and reverted, probably because everyone and their mother copied it on smartphones this year, but they've gone as far as to try and hide it with this fancy pants live wallpaper that is exclusive to the iPhone XS and XS Max. So if you were hoping for a notch reduction, That did not happen this year. I would bank on that happening next year. Now, one new thing on the iPhone XS and XS Max is a wider stereo sound. They're still using the earpiece to kind of get that, but there is a noticeable difference. Now, I am reviewing the XS Max, but because I know if I compare the XS Max against the 10, someone's gonna say, yo, that's a bigger phone, bro. It's gonna give a bigger sound. What you doing? So for the sake of this test, I will use the iPhone XS stacked side by side against the iPhone X.
Might find that grotesque. He says I'm horrific, but I'm not like the rest. I'll kill an orc if it's fighting to bite my flesh. Then stick a fork in it, slicing to bite what's fresh. Now
I get it. That's totally hard to portray through video that was recorded in stereo, so hopefully you could hear a little bit of that difference. I will say it's noticeable, but again, it's not like crazy better than the iPhone X. And again, Apple did not make the iPhone XS for those that own the iPhone X. It's gonna sound a hell of a lot better than your iPhone 7 or 7 Plus, or maybe you got a Poco phone and didn't really like it. Come at me, bro. I'm sorry. Now, something I don't like with the display, see what we're doing here, is I don't think Apple's taking full advantage of the screen real estate on the XS Max. What they do with the iPad Pro and iOS 12 is awesome, and I wish they would take a thing or two from that and bring that over to the XS Max. Yeah, certain applications take advantage of landscape, but it's limited, and again, you just really aren't getting the most out of that giant display. With that said though, after using the XS Max for about a week now, going back to the iPhone XS or 10, I feel like Drax and I'm using a baby phone. Shifting gears, going back to the iPad Pro, if you watch Front Page Tech on the daily and you live, breathe, and die by those rumors, one thing that we heard was the iPad Pro was going to incorporate USB-C, and unfortunately, that didn't happen on this year's iPhone. For better or for worse, we're stuck with that Lightning port, and if your hopes were up that Apple maybe might change that one day, bring those suckers down, because if anything, Apple's just gonna shove that port altogether in a body bag and throw it in the ocean because they want everything wireless. Thank Korean Jesus though that that day is not today, because that would be one more thing people would be freaking out in the comments over.
He ain't got time for your problems.
Now on the inside is Apple's A12 Bionic chip, which is actually the same across the iPhone XS and XR as well. This is a 6-core CPU, 2 high-performance cores paired with 4 low-power, high-efficiency cores. Now, one thing I wanted to address, if you just looked at Geekbench, which you absolutely shouldn't do, if you stacked an iPhone X next to an iPhone XS, the numbers aren't that drastic. Apple's only claiming about a 10 to 15% performance boost on this year's CPU, where the performance gains happen though is on the GPU. This year, there's actually an additional GPU core. So with last year where we saw 3, this year there is 4, and that's where that juice happens. So if you look at something like the compute section or Antutu, which I honestly didn't think I would be doing as part of my day-to-day, you can see the performance gains from the iPhone XS compared to the 10 are huge. And again, the iPhone XS is not made for the iPhone X owner. If you're coming from anything prior, it's gonna be even bigger. The other huge thing with that A12 Bionic chip is that it's now on a 7nm process, and yeah, that sounds like fancy tech talk, but it's actually a big deal. While that 10 to 15% performance boost on the CPU might not seem like that much, it's doing all that with about 50% less power. So more than anything, this chip is kind of like that forefront and step into the future for iPhone chips. So what do all those cores and nanometers and gigawatts mean? Unfortunately, for the average person, not a whole lot. Yeah, the iPhone XS Max and XS for that matter, paired with iOS 12, is a really fast phone, but the iPhone X was as well. Again though, we gotta stop comparing the iPhone XS next to the 10. If you were coming from absolutely anything other than the iPhone 8, the 8 Plus, or the 10, the iPhone XS is going to scream. What I think it comes down to though, I think the iPhone today is in a very similar situation as the iPad Pro. There's a ton of power, but there's not really a ton of things in terms of like everyday tasks that you do that really utilize that. It's kind of the same thing with Face ID this year. Yeah, it's faster, it's snappy, especially with iOS 12, but I never found myself having problems or feeling like it's slow on the iPhone X. But again, if you had anything prior, if you had an iPhone 8, you didn't have Face ID. Whether it's in direct sunlight or complete darkness, Face ID just works for me. And by now, I am 100% used to not having a home button. And honestly, anytime I go back to a smartphone that has one, I feel a little weird. One thing I want to point out that's more iOS 12 related as opposed to iPhone XS specific is now you don't have to stupidly pause, swipe up to exit out of apps, you just simply swipe up. So on the topic of no home button, it is just a much smoother and more enjoyable experience this year all around. Speaking of that front-facing camera, I think we naturally got to talk about Memoji and Animoji, and there's not too much to say about it, except I know you guys out there, you use it, you don't want to admit it, but it's fun. And now, you can track your tongue better than ever. Keep it clean. Now, what I was most excited for, and honestly what I think might be the biggest change on this year's iPhone, is the camera. So the sensor, it's actually larger this year, and that helps with low light. You have twin 12 megapixel shooters, a wide angle, and then a telephoto lens, and that paired with the processing really impressed me. This shot in particular here out in Venice at a skate park really stood out to me. One, I finally felt like I took one of those shots that Apple would throw up on a billboard, and two, the fact that you have that kind of dynamic range and you are freezing that moment in time is amazing. This shot here as well is beautiful. It's colorful, it pops, it's rich, but if you look closely, we are freezing that little bird in time. Now from there, portrait mode, which is so much better. This shot here with the super handsome Jared Leto, AKA Kevin Kenson, was one of the first shots that really wowed me. For starters, we're indoors, this is all natural light, and what was most impressive is that outdoor window should be blown out to all hell, but it's retaining the shadows, the highlights. It's just a really great image. Now hopping back to the skate park, my buddy Leandre, who's an amazing boarder, make sure you guys check out his Instagram. This shot really kind of captures portrait mode in all its glory. One of the new things with the iPhone XS and XS Max this year is the ability to adjust aperture. And I know people are gonna say Samsung had that 16 years ago, but it's a little different here on these iPhones. Yeah, it's still software based, but it's doing more than just blurring out the entire background. It's actually reacting to how you open up that f-stop. You can definitely overdo it. Like in this shot, if you just go balls to the wall, wide open, it looks a little fake, but if you dial it down, kind of go in the middle, it looks super nice. Where you can really start to see it take effect though is when you have those beautiful bokeh balls, like these guys. You can see those bokeh balls get bigger, more beautiful, and just more pleasing to the eye. So to say that this is exactly the same as every other smartphone, I don't think is entirely accurate. From there, let's go ahead and talk about video. Now, I don't upload in 60 frames per second because 24 for life, but if you want to see this iPhone XS in its full 4K, 60 FPS glory, check out this video up here or down below. Now, where that 60 FPS is useful for me is if you actually slow those down, you get some really cinematic footage. You can, of course, go all the way up to 240 frames per second, so check this stuff out.
Levitation, no hesitating. I came too far to look back now. All my decisions were so I get winning. It feel like I'm a champion, yeah. Levitate, yeah, levitate, yeah. I came too far to look back now. Levitate, yeah, levitate, yeah. I feel like I'm a champion, yeah.
When I wake up, wash my face, then get it in, get it in. Schedule filled and still I got to fit it in, fit it in. They depending on me, family, friends, and homies. Had to understand it's all about the team, not only. When I work out, feel like I can fly in the sky. All the love they give me to get me high, ain't no lie. If I wasn't such a killer, I would cry. Not that guy, levitation, dedication in my eye till I die. Woo.
Now it is worth noting that in 60 FPS 4K, you don't get Smart HDR. If you want to take advantage of that, you're going to make sure you want to shoot 30 frames per second, or if you're a decent human being, switch to 24. From there, hopping over to the portrait camera, oh my goodness, portrait selfies are so much better. Just like you have the ability on the rear-facing camera, you can also adjust the aperture on the front-facing selfies as well. So again, you can't overdo it, but if you find that sweet spot in the middle, you can get some really pleasing results. Now, in addition to those portrait selfies just flat out being better, the dynamic range is also much improved. Like this shot here, I am looking directly into the sun and it's holding everything together, whereas with the iPhone X straight up says F you, it's too bright, I'm not taking that shot. Also, what's kind of cool is portrait selfie with two people in the frame. So one, shout out to Mr. Josh Yo, he's a super talented creator, make sure you guys check him out. But two, you actually got two people in there and is doing a really nice job. One thing that's also new with the front-facing camera is 1080p at 60 frames per second. So if you're all about that 60 FPS life, you might like the iPhone XS. One thing I want to point out though, because it kind of goes back to the infuriating part of Apple not allowing you to change settings within the camera app, you might be looking like, how do I change the front-facing camera to record 1080-60? What you have to do is actually set the rear-facing camera to 60 frames per second, whether it's 4K or 1080, and that will automatically trigger the front-facing camera to also shoot 60 frames per second. Now, I know the theme of this video has been if you own an iPhone 10, you probably shouldn't upgrade to the iPhone XS, but I'm willing to bet after a lot of you see that camera, you're gonna be really tempted. But honestly, I think if that's the sole reason, I would hold off, because everything that's great about the camera this year is gonna be even better next year. Other things that might be a big deal to some of you out there is the addition of dual SIM, and the way that works is you have one physical SIM paired with one eSIM. The only actual location that's getting two physical SIMs is in China. As far as battery life, I always found the iPhone 10 battery to be pretty solid, but if you found yourself just coming up a little short at the end of the day, the XS Max is gonna get you over the hump, because battery life for me has been pretty fantastic. I think overall, the battery life king crown still got to go to the Galaxy Note 9. If you wanna see a full comparison of that against the XS Max, let me know by dropping a like down below. As far as water resistance, that has also been improved this year on the XS and XS Max. Apple is claiming that in addition to water, if you drop it in salt water, soda, coffee, OJ, Kool-Aid, Capri Sun, don't worry, don't sweat, rinse it off, let it dry for about 5 hours, and you should be good to go. Overall, the iPhone 10 and XS Max are really well-rounded phones. The problem is they are expensive as all hell, with the iPhone XS Max going up to nearly $1,500. I think for the average person, most people don't need that much storage. For me, I live for the most part in the cloud, so I don't need 512 gigabytes of storage. My one complaint, my final complaint to Apple, along with the price, is, hey, it is 2018, let's get rid of that 64 gigabyte base option. You don't do micro SD card expansion, you have to sell your third son to afford these things. Bring 128 gigabytes as the base option, and again, it's those small things that's gonna go a long way and make people feel warm and fuzzy. Aside from that, that is my iPhone XS Max review. Holy video that is long, Batman. Thank you guys very much for watching. You're amazing. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe to the channel. All the details on the giveaway, the D brand goodness are down below. This is Jonathan, and I'll catch you guys later. iPhone XS review dash I hate it asterisk clickbait. I warned you.
Hey, hey.